So we're inside today and we're gonna be making some mulberry jam. This is the mulberries that I have from the mulberries we collected the other day. This was about 2 days ago. In here I have all the mulberries that I collected from that one tree. Actually, this is from mulberries from 2 trees. And what I did was I took all of the mulberries, soaked them in salt water overnight, picked out all of the green ones, the little sticks and branches and bugs, as much as I could. Then I boiled it for 5 minutes on the stove top with about a cup of water. Once it was boiled, I blended it in my blender, and then I put it through my metal sieve. So this is the sieve that I used, and it took quite some time to get all the mulberries in here and really work it in through the sieve to get out all of the seeds. I really didn't want to have too many mulberry seeds in here, so I strained it all out, and that's the best way to do it. So again, it was collected, rinsed plenty of times, picked out all the green ones, the bugs, the sticks and everything. Then I boiled it for 5 minutes, which I didn't capture on camera, but I boiled it for 5 minutes and then blended it all up in my blender until it was nice and smooth like a smoothie. And then I put the smoothie in through the strainer. That took the longest time out of everything so far. Now we're moving on to the second step, which is to add some gelatin powder in here. You can add pectin if you want, but I'm gonna use some gelatin powder. And I'm gonna boil this down until it reaches a nice thick consistency with some organic sugar. Here I have my beef gelatin, and I'm just gonna add the gelatin to a little bit of cold water. Okay, now I'm gonna pour it into my mulberry syrup here. We're gonna give that a good mix, and then we're gonna add the sugar. So I have about 5 cups of mulberries here, and I'm gonna add about maybe half a cup of sugar, and then I'm gonna try it to see how it tastes. Okay, let's get this on the stove so it can start cooking down. Okay, so I have my big soup pot in here. I just poured all of the mulberry syrup in, and we're gonna start boiling that down. Just gonna turn the heat up a bit. I'm also gonna get about half a cup of sugar in here, and then I'll try it to see how it tastes. I don't want my jam to be too sweet. I don't like a really sweet jam, so I'm just going to put about half a cup here in these 5 cups of mulberry puree. Okay, so I have my organic cane sugar. I'm just gonna get about half a cup. I'm gonna give it a good stir and get it up to a slow simmer. And I'm gonna just slowly simmer this until we have a nice thick consistency. I'll be back in about 10 minutes and we'll check it, and I'll let you know what to check for when it's ready. We're gonna try not to cook this too much on a high heat, because if it's too high, you don't want it to taste burnt. So just keep it on a nice medium heat. Get that simmer going, then turn it down. That's what I'm doing here. And then once it's slowly simmering, I'm just gonna let that bad boy go. So it's been about 30 minutes of boiling, and I think we're ready and we've reached the right consistency. It's pretty thick, you can see it's like holding on to my spatula here. So I'm gonna show you how I check the consistency to see if it's thick enough for me. So all I'm gonna do is take a little bit on my spoon here, and I'm gonna put some on a plate and let it cool. Okay, so I'm gonna put it in the plate here. Okay, so I'm just gonna keep it in this plate and check it in about 5 minutes to see if the consistency is thick enough. If it's not thick enough, I can just turn the heat back on and cook it down for another 5 to 10 minutes. So far though, it tastes so good, you guys. The last thing I have to do here is add some fresh lemon juice. I'm just gonna squeeze the juice of 1 fresh lemon, mix it all in, and we are good to go. So I'll be back in 5 minutes to check the consistency to see if this is good enough. Okay, so we finished boiling all of the jam. Now we have the juice of 1 lemon, depending on how much jam you have. If you have between 2 to 3 cups, you probably only need half a lemon. But if you have around 5 to 6 cups like I have, you're gonna need the whole lemon. So I'm just gonna squeeze this and get the juice going. Here is basically what you're looking for with the jam. You can see I put some jam in here and look at the consistency. So when I pour it in a big clump like this, if I hold the plate on an angle like this, do you see how it's just holding its shape? It's not moving very much and it's holding its shape. Especially now that it's cool, like it's not going anywhere. So that's how you know it is a very nice thick consistency, and look at that. It is just absolutely amazing. It's nice and thick, not moving, not going anywhere, and so we know our jam is ready. So this is what it looks like. You can see how it's like holding itself together. It's not runny. You don't see any bits of runny liquid or juice here at the bottom. It's just a very thick consistency. So we have reached the consistency we want. I'm gonna add the juice of the lemon first. Fogging up the camera there, okay. And we're just gonna mix that in. And that is basically it. Our jam is ready to go into my jar. And I'm gonna pour this into a quart jar, and then you can pressure can this, or you can keep it in the fridge in a jar and just use it up within the next couple of months. It'll stay fine for a couple months in the fridge. Just make sure you're using a clean utensil to get the jam out every time you use it. So we're gonna pour this into the jar, and our mulberry jam is ready to go. Okay, so I poured the jam into a measuring cup here. And I have 2 cups, exactly 2 cups. Out of about 9 cups, I ended up with 2 cups. So I'm just gonna pour it in to my jar here. All right guys, well it's the next day and I want to show you how the jam has set up after we cooked it. So it ended up being about 3/4 of this quart jar, and I ended up adding 3/4 cups of sugar to the puree, boiled it all down with about a tablespoon of gelatin, and this is how it looks. So you can see how it's like not moving at all. It's really set up nicely, so it's nice and spreadable and not too runny. It smells almost like cherry to me. It's so delicious. It's absolutely amazing. So make sure you go out there, harvest the mulberries. They grow all around. They're quite sweet, and when you boil them down with some sugar and strain out all the seeds, you can end up with a delicious jam. So make sure you go out and harvest your mulberries. I hope you enjoy my recipe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, stay peaceful.